What is up, everybody? This is the Al Recap, a show focused on covering the news, matches, and results of the Overwatch League. Today, I am joined by both
What
Bob.
is up,
What's up, Bob?
everybody? This is the Al Recap.
Sorry, yeah, never mind. Hey, what's going on? Glad to be here, glad to talk World Cup, and just realized that BlizzCon's only a month away.
Yes, BlizzCon is approaching rapidly, and I couldn't be more excited. Also joining us today is Mel. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I just asked off work for BlizzCon, so I was like, oh yeah, it's coming up. It's
Uh,
crazy.
BlizzCon festivities are approaching, and I just remembered that I forgot to introduce myself. I am Andres, aka I Play Games, and welcome to today's episode. Yeah, I'm super excited. Like you guys, BlizzCon. It's just hitting me. You know, when like an event so far in advance, and I got the tickets way before, and like it hasn't really hit me until this month, where I'm like, oh man, I should really start like preparing for this trip. I can already taste it, man. It's gonna be super awesome. Last time we had a lot of fun. We got to meet a lot of people, and I hope this year is the same. I hope we get to meet a lot of people from I'll Recap too. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about Con Before the Storm and what we'll be doing for that?
Yeah, let's let Mel take that over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Let Mel take that over. Yeah, I know for me, I'll be representing Cavalry on the Saturday show.
So let's tell them what it is first of all, and what we'll be doing in the panels and stuff.
Right. So Come Before the Storm is a con
It is the
that happens
largest.
before the storm of BlizzCon.
It's the largest fan-made Blizzard event.
Yes. And there's a bunch of different panels for all the different Blizzard games. So there's an Overwatch panel, there's a Hearthstone panel, a Warcraft panel, and I know Bob and Andres are going to be on the Overwatch panel Thursday,
That's
correct?
correct.
Along with Rob, the Blevins, Totally Drunk, and Icy Sorrow.
Is it icy? I thought it was going to be
It
drunken.
is. It has been confirmed in the World of Podcast Discord, the Con Before the Storm Discord. It's been confirmed. Icy is going to be the panelist.
All right. Sweet. And then I will be on the Saturday, which is like after BlizzCon kind of recap show that they're going to do. So, yeah. So
Very
we'll all
cool.
three be included and represent Al Recap in all of our different ways.
And not Rob is going to be on the panel, the Overwatch panel too, representing
Yeah,
We said
Omniclab.
that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
did
you
I
said
say
it.
not Rob? Okay, good.
Not
But
Rob
yeah,
and Andres also have bunk beds, which I think is really crucial to mention.
Oh, it is.
This,
I
this
can't
was
wait for the
Melissa's
photo.
doing, by the way. This was Melissa's doing. She saw the bunk beds and she was like, "Oh, we're getting that." She didn't even like ask us or anything. She just came back with the hotel room. Was like, "Guys, check it out. I got you bunk beds."
And
I
how
got the
Like,
kids
excited
"Oh,
are
suite.
you?
okay."
How
I got
excited
the
are
kids
you?
suite. The
It's gotta be
question
cool.
is,
It's gotta be cool.
Andres,
Who gets
are
the
you
top
a
bunk?
top bunk or bottom bunk type of
No,
guy?
I'm bottom bunk. If there's a
Oh,
Oh.
I'm a
fire,
total
I'm getting
top
out there
bunk.
fast.
But if somebody breaks in, then you're the first one to die. So like
That's
you got to
true.
weigh your options here.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. But I'll take my bets on the fire. No, but
Oh shoot.
going back to Con Before the Storm, it's a great event for you guys to get to meet us. If you listen to the show and you happen to be at BlizzCon, you're also looking for a group of people to hang out and do something before the event. It'll be happening the Thursday before everything starts. So it's a great little warm up, to socialize, get together with people that, are into the same things that you are. And we'll all be hanging out. So it's a great place to come and meet us, say hey, introduce yourselves. And then, from there on, you never know what you end up doing. I highly recommend it if you're going to be there. Last time we had a lot of fun and the panel was really cool.
And you'll
Everyone is
get to
just,
meet
being silly and jokey, and it was cool.
so many podcasters from many different Blizzard games. I mean, it was really fun, especially as a fan turned podcaster for me last year. It was. I mean, it's where I met Andreas. It's how we became friends.
That's correct. That's correct. Making friendships, world of podcast. Um, Alrighty, that'll do it for news in the upcoming months. We also want to thank our Patreon Shazir as a recap producer. Thank you for supporting us at the top level. If you would like to join Shazir in supporting us, you can do so over at patreon.com. Choose your pledge amount, and help us grow the show even more. Thank you so much, man.
Patreon.com/I'll recap.
Yes, thank you, Mel. Patreon.com slash
Don't just donate to Patreon. We would prefer that it comes straight to us, but
we like Patreon. They're a great website. They serve us well. But yeah, donate to us, not to Patreon. Although or both, we're not judging here.
right.
All right, let's jump into some news. We got a couple of events coming up. Not only the Overwatch World Cup is unraveling right now, but we also have the California Cup being announced. This is going to be a rivalry cup between San Francisco Shock and LA Valiant. Poor LA Gladiators didn't get the notice. They got the shaft there. But it'll be happening on October 20th at the Esports Arena in Santa Ana and also November 10th at the Esports Arena in Oakland. So, two different locations. We haven't seen games in these arenas before. So, kind of cool that they're spreading it out a little bit. Still in California, they haven't left the state, but at least they're venturing into other locations. So hopefully other cities will come next.
Well, it is the two California teams. And I
I
think
know.
they're trying like super hard to make these rivalries a thing. Right? Like I just moved to Colorado Springs and I'm from Kansas City. So on Sunday I put on my Chiefs gear and we went out to breakfast and I was like, "Oh crap. Everybody's in Broncos like decked out gear." I was like, "Bob, I feel like they're going to spit in my food or something. Like I should have been more cautious about this."
Yeah, I was just sick to my stomach with all the donkey gear everywhere. But as you know, we've went to Bronco games here at Mile High Stadium before. The Broncos fans are top-notch fans. They are good people, and we only ran into that one really inebriated drunk girl that
And there's always one of
yeah,
those
yeah, she was
inebriated person.
she was definitely not fun. She
She was
thought
not a fan of our
yeah.
Chiefs gear.
Yeah, she
That's
was
for
like,
sure.
"Who has a team in Kansas?" I was like, "Well, I mean, it's actually in Missouri because Kansas City, Missouri is in Missouri, but it's real close to Kansas." And she's like, "Shut up!" It was bad, but everybody else was super nice. So Bronco fans are nice. Um, but yeah, rivalries are big. I think they're also trying to see what kind of ticket sales they can get in these different arenas. Maybe spread some stuff out in the Overwatch League. Maybe they're trying to show the Overwatch League what they could pull in, get a couple, stage finals moved to that location, type of things.
No, absolutely. And I was gonna save this for later into the episode, but I think it's a good time to bring it up now that we're talking about rivalries and fan bases and then spreading, the arenas to see what you can get in different places. Let's talk a little bit about the France audience and how that panned out in this last stage. Because if you're talking about taking Overwatch League to other places where you haven't been before, wow, France was a knock out of the park kind of thing.
I thought you said the
Yeah.
Franz audience. And I was
The
like, the
France,
France?
Hey
not the
man, you guys been hearing the
France.
rumors? DeFran's coming back, baby.
Paris, France. In the location of the last group stage for the World Cup.
Got it. Got it.
All I can say is Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous. No, I don't know. That's the only French I know.
I don't know what that means,
Oh,
but
you don't. Oh, you didn't. When did you come to the States?
I came when I was 18.
Okay, so that's why. Yeah, well, okay, well, I guess every kid doesn't learn it, but kid growing up in a private school in America learned the French Frère Jacques song.
I don't
Oh, there
think
you
I
go.
learned that. I think
And
you're just
That-
old.
yeah, it could be, but yeah, I'm sure many of our listeners have heard that song.
I've heard it for sure. I don't think I learned it in school, but I could be wrong.
All right. Well, I just heard it, so there you go. Adding it to the repertoire.
You were looking at me crazy, like, what is he doing?
No, but I really enjoyed watching this last group stage, especially because the audience was going out of their mind. Not only was the arena packed, you could tell that the people there were super excited that the Overwatch League was there, and they were taking full advantage of it. They
Because they
sold out the
just got a team.
tickets.
Yeah, they just got a team. They're excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an organic rivalry, right? And this time you don't have to make up the rivalry. I think that in matches like France versus the UK, you could just hear the audience, going off and off and off. And it kind of reminded me almost like a soccer match. And I'm sure it's because the society over there is used to cheering in this manner. When they go cheer for their team, France in soccer or whatever, that's how they cheer. But every time like the UK would pop up or something, they would boo them. Every time France was doing a play, they would be cheering super loud for them. They had all these different chants and different like little things that they were doing with their clapping, like increasing the speed and stuff. Like it was totally like a sporting event crowd
Yeah,
that
it
was
was cool.
attending this event. It
It was
was really
super
cool.
cool.
I
So
think Blevins and Deathblow would be excited to know that there was booing happening.
I was going to say the same thing. The exact same thing.
yeah, and it wasn't like a tasteless booing, you know what I mean? It was more like they wanted to nudge at the other team, they wanted to press their buttons. They wanted to let them know that they were there for France, and they were supporting their team. And what an incredible feeling it must have been for France playing those matches, and every time they made a play, getting that recognition and that boost to their egos and to their energy. It just makes you want to show off and keep going. And some of the French team were doing it. Like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
we'll get into that later. But Poco, man, he was like making the moves.
Dude, I felt so good for AKM and just and Poco. I absolutely love Unco. I've never met Unco, and I don't. He always seems
Unco,
so
Unco
like
plays. He
so.
plays in the league.
Oh, I know
He's usually
exactly who he
his
plays.
Zenyatta.
Yeah, yeah, he plays with Dallas. Like I'm just saying, I've met everybody else on the team in person. I've never met him, and he always seems so even keel and like never smiles and like
Very serious. Yeah.
yeah, he's very serious. And so I don't know about him, but the other three, I was so excited to just see them having so much success.
I think Poco
Absolutely.
was trying to regain his fame after the similar bombs were so effective in the caster showdown. I think he was like, "Listen, Simler,
Did
you
you
can't
hear?
take my light here."
Did you hear what Uber said about the Poco bombs? On he was on a High Noon podcast recently interviewing, and he was like, "Those he just pressed forward and pressed Q. He didn't do anything special." It was like
About the
what
Simler bombs, you mean?
actually, yeah. He was like, what actually happened is I screwed up as Reinhardt and didn't shield my team, and I was cracking up.
Well, they killed like 5 every time, so
Yeah,
you
no, he
failed
has
multiple
some.
times, Uber.
He has some very well placed bombs. He makes it very hard to cover. Um, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up because I think rivalries are important, and I hope that they start forming in Overwatch League. I think it's gonna take a little bit longer because unlike the World Cup where you're cheering for your nation, right? You're cheering for people who might live next door to you. Everyone from Team France is from France. Everyone from the US is from the US. Same with Canada and so on. So it makes it really easy to cheer. And then organic rivalries like US versus Canada or France versus the UK, kind of form up. We'll see how it goes with Overwatch League. I think that with time it'll form, and definitely there'll be some teams that you'll be looking forward to seeing play against each other. But I
Well,
think we're not quite there.
I mean the Valiant Gladiators rivalry did get pretty good, and
I think because it was in LA, right? So because they're both in California, so I think once the teams go to their own states, I think we'll get more of those rivalries, right? Because right now there was no home field advantage to have that rivalry in, right? And everybody at the Blizzard Arena was maybe there to see one of the teams, but maybe there to see one of the other 7.
they were pretty good though. Usually, Like the Valiant fans would be on one side of the front, the front ground seats, and then the Gladiators would be on the other side. They would chant back and forth. I mean, it was pretty good. And the Seoul Dallas Fuel rivalry could have been great, but the two teams just dropped the ball and struggled competitively. But they were hyping that early on because it was an old rivalry, the best team in the West versus the best team in the East, and it just didn't come to fruition because the teams
Neither of them
struggled
turned
so
out to be the
bad.
best team in the
Yeah.
Overwatch League.
Yeah, the teams struggled bad.
That's a big factor. There's a big factor there, you know.
I do think that's it too. I know the Gladiators definitely didn't have as good of a season as the Valiant at a lot of points, but their games against each other were always very competitive. And I think that's because the crowd was there. The crowd was behind them. The crowd was cheering. They were, on separate sides and they were making it fun. And I think once we get to those hometown arenas, we will see a lot more of that.
Yeah, I agree. Although the more that I look at it, the more like the Overwatch League resembles soccer a little bit in that sense, you know, where Overwatch League is almost like it's the clubs, you know. I mean, you're like Real Madrid or Barcelona, etc. That they have the best players from all over the world. They're not really restricted by nationality or anything like that. They can pick whoever they want, and they do have huge fan bases and rivalries. But once you get to the World Cup, that's where the real rivalries go on. It doesn't matter if you don't have the best team, like people will cheer for you to the end, and it becomes like a matter of like national pride at
It's like
that
the
point.
Olympics.
It's
You know what I
like
mean? It's like you just want to root for your home country.
Right.
root toot toot for the home
Oh
team.
my gosh.
But
You learned that one in school too?
I learned that one at the old ball game.
Bob is pulling out all the jingles today.
But speaking of which, like those clubs did really start to form. I mean, the one that I'm thinking of the biggest is the Five Deadly Venoms, but then I'm thinking about the Chaos Crew and all these different clubs that support their team locally. And you have a team coming to you locally. Hate to put you on the spot, but do you have any plans to start one or maybe get involved in one?
I've been
Basically
trying.
saying, what are you going to do
Well,
for
thank you
this?
for putting me in the spotlight. Yes, I actually have reached out to a few people. I'm
Awesome.
trying to see if there's some interest over here in starting something like that because, yeah, I would love to be part of the Atlanta community of the Overwatch League team. You know, that would be pretty cool. Sporting
I
the hopefully red and black colors because that's what our soccer team is sporting right now. That's
That's what
kind of
the
what
Falcons are too.
yeah, the football team sports too. So I hope they stay within that theme because I really like that color scheme.
all right.
They're probably
Well,
going to go purple
it,
just to
Oh
throw
my
you
god,
off.
no. Or orange. They also have like this weird thing with
orange
peaches over
is
here.
good. I like
They like
orange.
splashing like this like pink orange on everything, like a white and pink orange. I'm like, no, no, let's just not. Let's just not.
See, I actually love Broncos orange. It drives me nuts because I love that color. I love the orange and blue together also, but
But it's like a pink orange, you know, like this
oh,
peach
It's a
orange.
peach orange. It's
Yeah, it's like
peach.
this very soft. This is very soft orange.
all right. Well, if you get something going and you're heavily involved in it, we will come to one of your parties.
We will.
Oh, awesome! You're already getting a party together.
I know
Hey, even if
Gabe
it's
is in North Carolina
yeah,
and
he actually was interested
he
too in
wants
it.
to.
So if you are from Atlanta, reach out to us. Reach out to me. Let's make some plans. Let's do some watch parties.
Yeah, you could
And if
find
you're in
him.
Colorado, we should get a team so we can have parties here.
Yep, yep.
If you are a billionaire in the Colorado area, contact Mel so you can start an Overwatch League franchise.
Please. Thank you.
All right, last over here, or not last, we actually got two more items of news. DC team hires a female coach, or the first female. Is it? No, this is the second female coach.
No, it's
No,
the
it's the
first.
first
The
female
first.
coach in Overwatch League.
Yeah,
Susie Kim is a
Susie Kim
GM.
is a GM, not a
Gotcha.
coach.
Okay, okay, okay. My bad there. My bad there. So first female coach, very cool. Her name is Molly Kim, or Avala. She goes by Avala. She's an assistant coach. She has peaked at 78th on the Korean ladder, and she was the former head coach of Frisia Gaming. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that right. but they finished top 16 in the contenders trials for season 2. So she has some top finishes. She has some experience coaching some high level teams, and now she's getting pulled over as an assistant coach for the DC team. So DC already shaping up real good. All the news that have been coming from the team, it looks like they're trying to get a really good support crowd. Um, and it looks like they're making all the right moves to start on the right foot on this season too.
DC's really the only one we've heard from, to be honest. The other teams have been very quiet.
Which is usually not a good sign. The first time around when Overwatch League season 1 was coming together, the teams that were usually the most vocal didn't ended up being the most organized later in the league. The teams that were kind of a little shy, not too much news coming out, we saw some struggles during the season. So I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I think Dallas was pretty vocal at the beginning, so
They
I
were
think your
vocal the
theory
entire
there.
time. Yeah,
But their struggles came from somewhere else. I don't know if it was structural problems, but more of people problems there.
They just had a lot of vocal people.
oh
Like
yeah,
There you
they
go. There
they
you go.
they definitely had coaches that wanted to point out it wasn't their fault too, which was always fun.
oh boy. But I think it's cool. I think we've got a female player, we've got female GMs, we've got female coach now. And I think it just opens the door a little bit more for the females, the fellow females in the industry to kind of look at that as an option. And what?
And DC is the one that's also rumored to possibly be bringing DeFran in.
Okay, well, just kill my female vibe
You
there
know,
by bringing Fran in.
no more the Fran rumors. He's been speculated to come into the league since forever, and nobody has even said anything closely remote to official. So I'm banning the Fran rumors from now on.
Minus 10 points for bringing up Fran.
Yeah,
As Blaze would say.
it's super cool. And Overwatch is just a game where there's a lot of really good female players. I know way like I okay, I don't know how to say it, but I know a good handful of Diamond Masters female players, and I don't know that I've ever been in a game besides World of Warcraft where I was around so many females doing the top end of the gaming in that game. You know what I mean? So it's super cool.
Absolutely. I think overall, gaming has become very inclusive. Like the stigma of just, if you're a gamer, you're male, has been slowly disappearing in this last few years. And now is more true than ever. Gaming is very diverse. And I think that females have been embracing it as much as males now. If not, if it hasn't been always like that, but I think it's more because they haven't been as vocal about it. And now with Twitch and everything, we were
And
seeing that
Twitter.
there's many of them, all
I
over the place.
I see tons of female fans all over Twitter, all over the Overwatch League.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's cool that they're sparking up too in coach positions, in player positions. I hope we see more of them. I think games like Overwatch are super embracing of all sexes. You don't have to be male or anything to be playing this game
You
at the
could
top
be
level.
yeah,
If you have a passion for it, you can do it.
you could be a he, she, or a they.
Yeah,
Overwatch has them all.
I think Overwatch has done a really good job of trying to be all inclusive, right? And trying to make characters that speak to everybody. And I think
Absolutely.
that's helped their popularity, but it's also helped people be able to play the game and kind of relate to the game, right? Like there's something to be said about me playing a game where I can only be a male character, which I don't mind being a male character, but the fact that I can only be a male character is kind of annoying, right? Whereas, like, I came into this game and I started on Mercy, and then I would transition to other male characters and whatnot, but like, I was able to relate and identify with it as a female, and I think that was helpful. And then they've got other things. They've got, you know, autism, I think, with Symmetra, right?
Yep,
Oh yeah,
autism
Symmetra.
on the
And
spectrum.
right, and we've got Tracer, who's a lesbian, and I just think that they've covered a lot of different angles where everybody should feel like this is a good game for me.
And
I
that's
think that's good.
interesting that you say that too, because it's funny because Overwatch is the first game where I've actually been comfortable playing female characters. Like when I watch a movie or when I play a game, normally I do it very empathetically rather than sympathetically. So I feel with the character and I relate to the character if it's a male and similar to me. And I relate to it a lot better. It's why I initially picked up Reaper immediately because it just felt like me. It felt like the Wolverine of Overwatch, and it's funny because now I play all kinds of female characters, and I'm comfortable with it now. I mean, even back to the Street Fighter 2 days, like I wouldn't play June because she was a female and I didn't feel like it was me, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't because I thought,
You were
because I
just
didn't
sexist.
like,
I
no, it
understand.
was not that. Shut up. You know that, not true. Um, but
I'm just really
I
glad.
like Overwatch has made me comfortable playing those characters too, which is crazy and awesome because in my entire life I was never comfortable doing it before.
It's very true. It's very true. I feel very represented now that they added Hammond into the game. I really think that
Yep, you are a hamster.
hamsters speak to me, and I'm I'm glad I'm glad it's part of the game. Talking monkeys also are right up my alley.
I feel you. I feel you.
No, but it's true. Overwatch is very all inclusive. You can find a character that kind of like you feel like you fit with, you relate to, and that is very cool. They've done a really good job with that. And it's attracted a lot of people over the place, and it's cool that some of those people have gotten into the competitive nature of things and taken it so far, as we are doing it right now. But all right, let's move into the last piece of news. This one is actually a very sad and bad one compared to the previous one. But Twitch has been banned in China. A big blow for the company, especially for Overwatch League. Now that we have 3 Overwatch League teams coming from China to make it a total of 4. And I don't know what the Chinese government is really thinking here. They definitely don't like Twitch for some reason. We don't have
It was
much
its
insight in
increased
there.
popularity in August. I think there was a big tournament, esports tournament in August
I
that
believe so. Yeah,
it like
it made the
grew.
app jump to like number 3 or something like that in the app store, and I guess it grabbed some eyes and it got banned.
Oh, China.
It's crazy.
The problem here is that Twitch is the main medium in which the Overwatch League is being broadcasted.
The
So Twitch being
only
banned in
medium
China
in
means
China.
there's basically no other way of watching it. There might be some bootleg form of watching it, but for the general public, options are basically gone at this point. It's a huge market over there. We know that there's a lot of fans coming from there. There's a big audience. So definitely not good news for Overwatch. And they might have to start thinking of alternative ways of broadcasting their their league, right? Because they're a little bit limited right now with Twitch. Twitch does reach a lot of places, but not every
Apparently not
place.
China.
Yeah,
Not China.
this is bad. I mean, this is so bad. I could honestly see the new Chinese teams, if they can, pull out of the league and pull out of the contract completely, if that's still an option for them.
I don't think
Because
that's an option anymore.
yeah, if it's not an
I
option,
don't
then
know.
it's real trouble.
To be fair, I think that having a team in the league is still profitable for the Chinese teams because it's not like the audience for the Overwatch League is solely coming from China. It is a big portion and it does hurt them, especially region wise, right? When they're trying to build an audience around them and stuff. So I think that they'll still see a return on investment by staying in the league. I don't think it's a bad business deal at this point, but it definitely got less attractive at this point for them. Absolutely.
I definitely think Blizzard will have some push on this, and I think that they will go to them and make sure that there is a way that these Overwatch League games can be broadcast in China, right? Whether it's Twitch or another platform, I think they'll make sure that that happens. They've got 4 teams in China now. They're really trying to expand. Like, I don't think they're just going to lie down and let this happen, right? I think it's happening right now
Right.
because it's off season and it's kind of like, okay, well, let's get our ducks in a row and let's deal with this. So there hasn't been anything said about that. But I think that they're definitely going to push forward and be like, what do we need to do to get this going here?
Yeah, and okay, here I'm gonna just put on my tinfoil hat over here and just hypothesize for a little bit, because there are ways that Blizzard can put their programming into China, and maybe it's some bureaucratic thing where this website is getting huge numbers. A big portion of the viewers are going into this website. They're getting an entertainment by bypassing any networks or anything that they might be over there. So the way to do it might be for Blizzard to actually sell the rights to show it to any television network over there, kind of like they've done with ESPN or
Right.
other networks over here, so
I
that it
think they've
goes
said
to
like
their channels.
ZunQ TV and Panda TV are the platforms that are used in China,
And it
like the interactive
It
platforms.
might honestly be coming down to that the people who own those platforms in China are not very happy with what is happening. Hey, we have a big portion of our audience going to this website where we have no control over. It's not Chinese owned. We're making no money out of this. Um, what is it in for us? You know what I mean? Might as well block it and force them to go through our channels where then we can put on our own advertising and we can make our own money.
do you think the Overwatch League is the catalyst to that, or do you think it would be more like what actually do we know what actually set them over?
It might not be only Overwatch League. Yeah, you're right. It might be other things combined. PUBG is very big in China. Fortnite is probably also pretty big in China. So it might be other games also causing a huge audience to go in there, and they just don't want that happening.
Right. I think though the fact that Overwatch League just announced 3 new teams from China, I think that
I was
kind
wondering
of
that too.
pushed them to make an action here because they know Blizzard will not allow the Overwatch League games not to be publicized in China, right? They just allowed 3 new Chinese teams. They're not just going to say, "Oh, sorry, but you can't watch your games in our localized, communities here." Like that's just not an option. So Blizzard's going to do whatever they can and whatever they need to do to make sure that these are available in China. And I think that China might be, taking that into their advantage. And not that that's bad. I mean, it's kind of smart, but
They've been known to kind of favor their own industries over there. They don't like outsourcing things kind of like we do over here. They rather insource everything over there.
like
So
the opposite of America.
yeah, exactly. So, and to be fair, we're just speculating over here. It's not like we have any intel or insider information on what's going on in the government of China. That would be ridiculous. But you can speculate a little bit. What you just follow the money sometimes.
Right?
That might be what it's all about right now. We'll see what Blizzard decides to do with this. I hope some more news come out from there, and I hope it's something that benefits Chinese viewers. Like hopefully they can get it over there, and we can keep it going, keep the train going, boys.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, that'll do it for news. Let's jump in some of the results for the Overwatch group stages. This is the last
Team
group.
news.
Team news. Oh, there's some team news. I'm gonna pass it to you for those. I feel like I've been talking too much.
Oh, Andres. Yeah, just a few things. I mean, it's been a little bit more quiet lately as opposed to the last couple of weeks where there's been a lot of changes and things happening. But the first thing, Florida Mayhem brought up Hagopen from their academy team. So he's a former Spitfire player. He was released from Spitfire, was signed to the Mayhem Academy team, and then brought up just recently to be on the Florida Mayhem active roster. So I think that's cool. Florida, I think, now has like 3 players. So, building a team. It's about half
Tavik's
as
just
many as they
gonna
Putting it
had.
play all
together.
the roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be Tavik versus
And the
the
bus
other team.
driver.
Yep, he is a man
That
of
was
many
weird.
skills.
I didn't mean that. Okay, we also have the Shanghai Dragons signed Wee Bluehas Swanghuan.
Sunghwan.
Sungwon.
That's my
So
guess.
We'll just
they
go
have a new
Blue
head
House.
coach. Okay. Bluehas is their new head coach. He was previously the head coach for the Korean contenders team Kangdu Pantera. and very successful there. I think they ended second in Korean contenders trials. So hopefully
Yeah, they were.
Shanghai is moving in the right direction.
I think so. They've been in the market for a very good coach. We know that they were offering a lot of money to Wizard Hyung from former New York Excelsior coach. So hopefully this is the right decision that they've made. I think that this is a good coach for them. He has a good track record. He's shown to be very proficient at it. His team was looking very good. Kongdu Panthera showcased very high skill in the league. Definitely would have been able to beat Shanghai Dragons at the time. So I think that so far an improvement overall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Shanghai is definitely moving in the right direction. They released most of their players. They've released most of their coaching staff. They've hired a couple new people. They did say their full season two roster would be released shortly. So anticipate that. Whatever you take shortly to mean, it could be 1 month, 7 months, who knows? But we're supposed to find out about that soon. We also have former Fusion player Joe Meister, who has announced he is transitioning to coaching. So, little backstory on Joe Meister. Joe Meister was on the Fusion. He played 0 minutes in the Overwatch League and then was released. So now he is actively looking for a coaching position. I think he's kind of realized where he benefits best in the Overwatch League. And he's kind of put that out in everybody's ear that he is looking to be in a coach position. And I think that's cool. I think that that's a really big thing of somebody to do, right? It's hard to give up that competitive spirit, but I think after going a whole season riding the bench, I think you kind of have to reflect and see what you brought to the team and what you think you can bring to another team. Go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of these people are very good at their roles, but sometimes they're not like the very best of the best. But
Right.
because they're so good, they're still very helpful in these team like coaching positions or training positions because it allows some of these other players that are excelling at their role at the time to keep sharp and keep them in line. They know how to play at the top level, so they know what it feels like to be one of those players. So transitioning to those coach positions actually makes a lot of sense for some of these players that haven't been in the spotlight or maybe are not the cream of the crop but are very close. You know what I mean?
It
Right.
makes
I
a
do
lot of
think
sense, but it is a little weird. Like you like like every player can't just transition to a coach. So I'm curious to see if he'll be able to do it. But I mean, the best coaches are ones that think in a certain way and think strategically. They don't actually have to play well, and so good players oftentimes, what I've seen in my own experience and some of the league, is they just think about what their role did, their role that they played at the highest level. So maybe assistant coaching is good, maybe just the head coaching isn't the best for players, but I don't know. We'll have to see if he makes an impact or not. I think coaching is a really hard market right now for the Overwatch
And,
League.
and that's a fair point too. Not every player is gonna stay in the Overwatch League for eternity, right? Like we've already seen a lot of players kind of make an exit, and I'm sure that a lot of these players' plan B is to go into coaching, right? Because so far some of these guys are very
Coaching or
young.
casting or analyst.
Right. And like it's not like they've had a ton of experience in other jobs. This is what they've been doing for a while.
right.
So even if they're not playing at the Overwatch League, at least they're gonna try to find something along the lines of Overwatch League. And yeah, coaching or casting, analyst, all those kind of fall in line with that. But yeah, like you said, not all of them will fit those roles. Some of them might, just have to exit Overwatch League for
Yeah.
good.
Dude, I play with and know tons of really good players that are not good coaches. You are a great coach, my friend. Deathblow is a great coach, but lots of people aren't. Lots of people, you know, they're good players, but not coaches. Like a coach is a teacher,
But they can
and
also be
that's hard to do.
position coaches. right?
Yes,
Like they
yes, they
have
can.
quarterback coaches in football, they could have support coaches in
True.
Overwatch
Very
League,
true.
right? Like I think that the amount of coaching staff needs to increase in the Overwatch League, and I think they learned that in season 1, right? But nobody really knew how much you were going to need or how much you were going to have to delegate, right? And so I think a lot of these players that were sitting on the bench kind of assumed those coaching roles in a lot of aspects, right? Where
That's
they were
true. Yeah.
watching their other their counterparts gameplay, trying to learn, but also trying to give that perspective of an eye outside of what's actually happening in the game, right? Because you can justify what you're doing in your head no matter what until somebody points out, like, but did you realize the X, Y, and Z? And you're like, oh, no,
Well,
but I should have, right? Like you can see that. And so I think that a lot of these players are just making that transition now because it was already a transition made in season 1 because they weren't at the level to play in the games, but they were helping in different ways. The unfortunate part is that I don't think anybody else knows what Joe Meister did. And I'm assuming, because I have no idea if Joe Meister did anything, but nobody else knows what he did behind the scenes, right? Everybody knows what the players do on the screen.
yeah, and what's interesting about this, you talked about positional coaches, right? So in the NFL, like you have positions, like you have an offensive line. You can have a little bit of change in your offense. Like you can go 4 wide receiver, 1 running back. You can go 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. But you always have those offensive linemen that are ineligible to catch a pass, yada, yada, yada. Like you have to have those. In Overwatch, you could have 6 wide receivers, that like you could do 6
That would be a poor
DPS. It
choice.
would be a poor choice. But what I'm saying is that when you do positional coaches, you kind of put everybody in a box and you make it say, like, we need to have a main tank, we need to have an off tank, we need to have a main heal, an off heal. We need to have this
Not true
structure
though.
when you actually don't need to have that structure. And the best coaches figure out these weird comps that just
Right.
really own, and they're thinking outside of the box. So positional coaches
But that's
just
a
might
head coach and an
draw
assistant
people
coach
in.
job, right? Like the quarterback coach is still going to coach the quarterback. The support coach is still going to coach the supports. Now, if the support wants to switch to tank, they can get coaching from the support coach and the tank coach, right? But especially in a coach role, you have to have specialization
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
because there's no way that you can just have a bunch of flex coaches that are all coming up with strategies to help you get to the win when it's just unrealistic, right? You need a couple people coming up with those strategies. Then you need those other people that are like focused on that minutia of like, okay, this is where your positioning was off as Zenyatta. And if they played Zarya, then the tank coach comes in and says, okay, here's your problems with Zarya, right? Like it doesn't box them in necessarily. It's not like Bonnie is only allowed to talk to the support coach. You know what I mean? Like I
Bonnie
think
is only allowed to talk to the support coach. I actually got that from. No, I'm kidding.
listen, I love Bonnie. Bonnie can talk to whoever he wants. I want to see Bonnie on Widow. But I think it's just a mindset, right? Like I understand the thought process that it would box us in, but I think it would do the opposite. I think it would allow people to have access to experts in that role more frequently.
Yeah, and honestly, I could see some players that excel at their roles and maybe are not active in the rosters, kind of taking that. Like, imagine, Shadowburn just providing some consulting services for teams on how to Genji. And just go over, train your Genji dude, train your academy team, how to and the arts of the sword, and then cash in your money and move on.
Yeah, it's such a
Right.
big question though. Yeah, like, you play Genji, depending on your team comp is how you play him. I mean, it
It
changes
does change, yeah,
quite a bit with the different team comps.
Well, and I
yeah.
think that's why
All heroes have
individualized training is better, right? Like you're training them while they're playing with their team. So you can
a.
give them advice on those situations that are occurring in real time.
Definitely,
Yeah,
Like
I
you
can
can be in their
definitely
definitely.
see it.
Yeah,
headset during
yeah,
practice.
yeah. I got you. You sold me.
Alrighty, guys, let's do jump into the World Cup news because we are running a little bit out of time. It's been a heated discussion today with all the news, a lot of stuff coming out. I'm glad we got it out of the way, though. But let's talk about France. Last group stage of the World Cup. We have the last two qualifiers. France and the United Kingdom have pulled through. Very sorry for the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, and Poland. No, unfortunately, they didn't quite make it through, even though Germany had a huge display of skill versus their match with France. They kind of fell a little bit short. But yes, let's talk about this group from the eyes of France since we don't have much time left. But what a great team we saw come out. France is looking super, super strong. We got a lot of Overwatch League players actually playing in the team. We got Poco, AKM, Soon, and Unco. Three incredible players. They all showed why they're playing in the Overwatch League. Definitely flexing over a lot of people. And some of their other players like Ben Best on the Winston, like really pulling through. Although with this support staff, it's hard not to, man. Unco was definitely popping off on that Ana. Poco just making the plays on Diva and Zarya. AKM, your boy AKM,
My
Bob. You want to
boy.
talk a little bit about him?
Yeah,
Because he was doing some cool moves.
yeah, he's played all kinds of Sombra and different roles and playing Zarya, playing Brigitte. I mean, he was just all over the place. And then soon look good too. Viva la France! I'm excited for the French team, and yeah, like if the USA gets kicked out, I want France, but I think the USA is going to win, so I'm good.
It's gonna be a fierce match. So far, France, China, the US, Canada, and of course South Korea have really impressed me. They all look like they're playing at the top tier level, definitely much higher than the last World Cup. Every year, the competition just gets fiercer, and this time fueled by Overwatch League is just even more and more. Um, I want to talk a little bit about Poco because Poco was looking so good, and I feel like Poco was feeding off of the crowd. There was one point in Anubis in the match against Germany where or maybe it was against the United Kingdom. My bad. Where he throws the Diva mech on top of point A in Anubis, and then he soon realizes that everyone is right below him. So what he does is he just starts pushing the mech with his mini diva until it falls off of the edge into the lower point and kills like two people with it. And that just earned him
He's
so
done
many
that
style
before.
points for me. It's
He's
just
done that
such
before.
mastery. It's just such mastery of the
It's
hero. And
yeah.
like this is just one of the bombs that he got throughout the game. He's so good at timing them. He's so good at choosing the right angles and the right height and elevation, so you can't hide from him. I don't know, just thoroughly impressed me. I can definitely say that if he's not the best diva in the world, he's definitely the diva with the most style. I'll say that.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
sure.
And yeah, he's used that push off thing a few times. I remember first seeing that and was like, "What? I didn't even know you could do that. That's what a heads up play."
He also does this thing where if he wants the diva back to travel, but not to travel very far, he'll find the wall and then he'll angle the mech kind of like in a diagonal so that when he lets it go, the mech hits the wall, but kind of like slowly slides off the wall and then
Then goes
keeps
off.
going past it. But it's a way to kind of like reach really short distances with it and still be kind of unpredictable because people on the other side of the wall don't really see the mech coming until the very last second where it kind of like slips off of the edge of the wall. And he did that several times off of bridges too. He would aim it down on the bridge so they would fall off the edge of the bridge right before it exploded. And just in general, such a mastery of the timing of that ultimate. It's really cool watching him.
He was
I feel
probably
like
a whiz in geometry class growing up.
yeah, he probably was, seriously though. But I feel like he feeds a lot off the crowd, right? Like you saw
Yes.
him hit so many bombs in the stage 1 of Overwatch League where he was just constantly getting multiple kills, right?
Yep, they called
And
them Poco Bombs.
right. And so like he got a lot of like cheering and hype for that. And then
Absolutely.
they took him out and put, oh, I forget who else was in
They
there.
put what's his name in, so
Colsty
Mm-mm.
no, so he could communicate with Saba.
Bishu.
Bishu, yep.
Is that right?
or or Nico.
No, Bishu was on Gladiators.
Yeah, you're right.
The other
I don't know.
players are Nico, Shu, Hip, Asking, Colsty, Ben Best, and
Wait,
Oh
are you
no,
on the
no,
Dima.
yeah,
France? No, I was just talking about the
we're talking
fusion.
about we're talking about the fusion when he
Oh,
basically got
Fusion.
benched in stage 2.
Right. So he got benched in stage 2. It doesn't really matter who took his place. He got benched in stage 2. And I think his confidence went way down. And then I think when he came back in, he didn't hit a
Hotba.
couple bombs. And yeah, he didn't get a couple bombs. And then the crowd wasn't cheering for him as much. Poco bombs were not as much a thing anymore. They were kind of in the past. And I think he let that get to his head. And, you know, kind of not that he played bad, because I think he always played well, but I don't think he had that energy and excitement that you see when he's doing well and when the crowd's there behind him and
Well,
engaging. So,
and he functions really well when he has a very aggressive main tank. So when Fraggy was being the main tank, that was great because it was taking a lot of the awareness of what he's doing and where he's at off of him.
true. But yeah,
Absolutely.
he looked good on Friends.
Also, a special mention to Soon and AKM. Really good DPS duo. They were gelling pretty well. Soon is a monster. He was playing a lot of Brigitte. He was playing a lot of Sombra. He pulled out the Widowmaker here and there. AKM was all over the place, like you said. He even brought back the Genji, and he was looking good on the Genji again.
AKM Blades.
Yeah, AKM Blades, not too bad this time. I will say Unco on the Anna looking super, super dangerous. That man is so hard to get and was making it really, really hard for DPS to get to him. Talking about
Yeah, I hadn't seen a whole lot of Unco on Anna either. Like that's very exciting for me moving forward
it's
on
recent,
Dallas Fuel.
You didn't see a
absolutely,
whole lot of Anna in general.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't know what players were good. I knew Rio
but
Jihan was a great Anna
it's
player. I didn't know
it
anybody
says a
else.
lot. I mean, it says a lot because it's true. We didn't see a lot of Anna during Overwatch League, but now that Anna is meta, you have to have an Anna in your team for certain maps. You can't just ignore that role. If you do, you're gonna run into the same problem some teams ran into the first season, where they kind of ignore Zenyatta, and didn't quite unlock his full power. And here comes Jonak showing what a good Zenyatta can do for their team. The same happens with Anna now, and I'm glad that Unco picked it up really quick, man, because it makes his team look really strong. I will say on the match versus Germany, it was especially noticeable how strong he was. Um, their DPS, the German DPS, Cranks, was made a fool so many times in this matchup. And in general, Germany was looking good. They were able to bring it back closer than any other
Germany
team.
is the only one that took maps off of France, which is crazy
Just
because they ended fourth and they put up the best fight on the best team. It's almost like they were just preparing for France.
It almost was. But I honestly think that they got so far thanks to their support and tank lineup, because poor Cranks, man, it was just like every blade that he would try to pull out, he got juked, he would get slept, he would get pushed over, and then AKM would just kill him from one side. I kind of feel bad for the guy because his team was doing a lot, and the poor guy just kept dying over and over trying to get to Onko. He did get him a couple of times. I'm not gonna say that it would never happen. But whew, boy, he made it hard.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like France was gonna take it. They went early on 2-0. Then all of a sudden, Germany comes back and gives them and takes two maps, and all of a sudden it's 2-2, and it's like, what's going on?
I think it's interesting to note that France, it was 3-2 against Germany, but then UK, who's the number 2 seed, who also made it in, France dominated them
Oh,
4-0.
4-0, yeah, dominated them, and And what's weird is I think the UK dominated Germany.
Yeah, it's like a rock paper scissors thing over here going on.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
it was
I
really
mean, it was
weird.
3-1 UK
the
versus
UK
Germany.
had a very good run. UK ended up with a map record of 15-5, which means they only lost 5 maps, won 15. Their match record is 4-1, meaning they
And
only lost
four of those
France.
losses were to France. So they
Yeah,
only
four of
lost
the
one
losses were to
map to
France.
other teams.
Yeah, so United Kingdom performed really, really well. They're also a team that I didn't expect them to do as well, honestly, but they have some really good players. Cruz being on the support, really good. Boombox also an amazing support player. Kib was
Boombox is
doing
the only Overwatch League player, right?
yeah, he's the only one in the Overwatch League, but the rest of the team was just playing really well. Christopher on the tanking role, he was doing some
He
really
did
cool
really
stuff
well.
on the Winston, and him and Boombox were just gelling together really nicely. Overall, United Kingdom looked pretty good, but yeah, against France, it was just utter domination. France didn't even skip a beat in that match.
Right.
One thing I want to mention too is the goats composition is becoming very popular again, and I like that it's not the only meta, but it's this composition that keeps recurring over and over, and it's a composition that I've noticed teams are using to regain the point very quickly, or if they are at an ultimate disadvantage, it's a really good composition because it doesn't really rely on the ults too heavily and can actually survive a wide variety of ultimates that the enemy team might throw at you. So if you're fighting from behind, if you're behind an ult economy, you don't have momentum, you don't have control of the point, it's actually quite a nice composition. And France was using it impeccably. Um, the one moment that comes to mind the most is a Numbani versus Germany. Germany is finally able to take point A and start the payload run on Numbani. And France immediately switches to the goats comp because they're behind on the ultimate economy and using a Lucio. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who don't know what the goats comp is, it's a triple tank and triple support that we're talking about. Usually a Reinhardt,
Specifically,
yeah, usually a Reinhardt, Zarya, Diva, and then you paired with a
Brigitte,
Lucio,
Lucio, Mora.
Moira, yeah, and
Sometimes
Brigitte.
Ana now though instead of Moira.
Ana and Moira
Yeah,
are interchangeable, but in this composition, Moira really shines, while
Mm.
in other compositions, Ana tends to be the favored one. In this one, just because you try to keep everyone so tightly close, and Moira can provide such a massive amount of healing to those targets really up close. She's kind of usually the preferred one, and her kit allows her to maneuver around the battlefield up at close
Right.
range. So
I
also,
honestly wish the goats, the 303 comp wouldn't. I wish it just wasn't viable. I wish it wasn't legal because it reminds me of like let's just go out like I always take everything back to the NFL, but it's what I know. But let's say the NFL. Let's just put all linemen on and one running back and one quarterback and just try and run the ball. How boring is that? That's what goats is. Boring. Like when it's a
it
goats versus goats
But there's a
comp, it is the
way
most boring thing
there
in
are
the
ways to counter
world.
goats though.
Yes,
it
there are ways
essentially
to counter
it
goats,
essentially
but
is,
usually it's
yeah.
goats, and they just nothing happens for a long period of time.
Actually, there was a lot of countering going on in the goats composition, and teams were successfully able to counter the composition to the point where sometimes swaps would be forced. But regardless, I do think that your analogy is good because it is a very straightforward composition like that. You basically just say, what's our objective right now? Let's all pick heroes that are especially good at standing on the objective, and let's just beeline to it and force the enemy team to have to fight us on the point. But the thing about the composition is that it is especially good at holding their ground and fending off anyone that tries to get to them. So yeah, it is a very straightforward composition. It's very counterable though, but because it's very static, usually doesn't have a lot of range with the comp. but played right, it allows you to contest the point for long enough that you just win the point outright. You know, by the time the enemy team has worn you down, you've already gotten two ticks, if not the entire
Yep.
thing, or you've already moved the payload
And
enough ground.
the like the fact that a Zarya can have graviton on both sides every team fight is just nuts. I mean, just to be
That
able,
is crazy.
like the ult build up with that comp is just silly, and I don't know how they fix that without having without saying that every team has to have one support, one DPS, and one tank. Like that's the only way you would get like for sure that never happens. You know what I mean? So
Who's got all these hybrid characters
I'm
though?
just I don't want triple tank to come back. That was a very boring time in professional Overwatch,
Well, it's
and
funny. It's
it
funny that you
Goats
mentioned
is
that though,
going right back to that. I feel.
because Goat is very strong right now. But there is a little guy that's getting a rework recently that actually has a really good kit against a composition like this.
Torbjorn.
Yeah, the new Torbjorn actually, it's. I think they're looking ahead into the future. I think they realize that Goats is strong, and that there should be tools to not allow people to just stand
I
on
think
a
you're right.
point and contest indefinitely or contest long enough to get you out. Torbjorn, the new molten core, making the floor lava, is definitely a counter to these compositions because their strongest suit is that they can stand still in this point and hold. You know what I mean? It deals a
And
lot of
And they've got
damage,
Brigitte
all of
armor.
those characters have a lot of armor, where
a
it's
lot
a
of
lot
armor.
stronger against armor. The molten
It's a
core that they're bringing
it's
out
a
with Torbjorn.
very resilient composition. Its strength is that they're hard to move. You know what I mean? If you're trying to contest a payload or a point, you're usually on the losing side because how do you move that whole mass of health? Well, you cover the floor in lava and you force him to.
Cover the floor in lava and put the hamster ultimate on there.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh, how would you like to get out of
Hamster,
that
ha-
mess?
Hamster is actually also good in that type of situation. He's good at getting into the middle of the brawl, getting massive amounts of health. The more characters are there, and for
Knocking
the
them out
next,
of position.
absolutely. Actually, Germany got a lot of ground off of France using Hammond, if we think about it, especially on if I go back to Route 66. I think it was their last map of the series. Um, but Germany pulled out a Hammond, and they were actually doing quite good against France with it, to the point where I think it was ZP that was like, "Where has this Hammond been the whole time, Germany?"
Dude, that's another thing to
Germany.
talk about. Something that's been extremely enjoyable about the World Cup so far is just the diverse casting crews and getting to see all
Yes.
these
They're
new
so nervous.
casters. Yeah, not like new, but like new to me because I don't watch the tier two scene much. So all these casters were new. And yeah, just like you said, Mel, when I pointed out, I was like, they're so nervous when we were watching them. And
Because it's like
rightfully
tryouts right
so. Yeah.
now.
I mean, it's tryouts not just for
Caster tryouts as well.
players. Yeah, it's caster tryouts, analyst tryouts, like anything they say could be used to possibly get them a job in the league going into season 2.
Oh,
And so it's
absolutely.
been neat to see them.
Some of them have actually been doing a really good job. Like I've been
For
enjoying
sure.
the casting of a lot of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get picked up for the next season. Especially we're gonna have more games in different areas. We know that the group of casters that they have right now is super solid, but it is tough hours on them. They have to
There's
be
going to
there
be more
all the
games.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've got to
and
have more casters.
they gotta have more. Yeah. Talking about casters that I've been enjoying, Jake has been very enjoyable. I really enjoy him and CP casting together. CP does a great job of setting Jake up to just deliver some great analysis and insight. And he's a really well spoken guy. He's been bringing a lot of hype to the matches. And I really like that he goes a little bit more in depth because he's a player himself. And he's able to
Jake
bring
doesn't have a
his
problem going
experience.
in depth.
No, he really doesn't. He really doesn't. but he's able to bring those insights that he has as a player and like quickly just like deliver them as the match is going. And it's very cool because he almost narrates the strategy a little bit and he's able to dive a little bit deeper. So those games have actually been really, really enjoyable for me to
For sure.
watch.
He does
I
need a
think I
box,
was
though. He needs a box.
I
Like, he
think I
doesn't
was
have a box.
I was interested to see how Jake would do in the casting aspect, right? Like I thought he would be a great analyst. But in the casting aspect, I was like, I don't know, because he likes to go so in depth into the why and the analysis of the actual thing happening that I didn't know if he would be able to keep up, right? With the quick pace and like continuing to
Yeah.
move on from points, I guess.
You're explaining too much, Jake.
Right. Like we're like three plays beyond what we're still hearing about, right? Like, but that's what I thought might happen. And he's definitely pleasantly surprised me and done really, really well.
No, he's
And
keeping up the pace really well.
for
Yeah.
sure. And I think he's great. And I think that he is still an Overwatch League player. But once
He
that's
is. He
over,
is.
he can go to casting. That's great. Don't kick him off my outlaws yet.
Alrighty. I am gonna have to cut it a little bit short with the group stages over here. I mainly wanted to talk about France. The France versus Germany match was really cool, even though Germany didn't quite qualify. If you guys missed that VOD, I would definitely watch it. The crowd was going insane. Germany was going insane. They almost turned it around. Awesome match. Congrats to United Kingdom, also a very strong team. I'm looking forward to see what they bring. Their crowd was also very, very cool. I saw Stylosa in the chat
I
with
was
the
just about to
flag just going
say,
crazy.
Stylosa losing his mind in the front row.
Yeah, yeah, it was very, very hype. Special mention to the Netherlands. Almost made it. Almost made it. They just lost to the United Kingdom. I feel like if they had won it, they could have actually gotten through. We didn't mention the players in the Netherlands, um, but no Overwatch League players that I know. They do have a lot of really good players, but yeah, none that have made a breakthrough in the big leagues. Some contenders players though.
Yeah, the first two group stages were the ones packed with just Overwatch League players.
Hmm. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's episode. If you would like to find
Do you
the
want to go
show,
over the schedule?
oh,
Sorry.
oh yes, yes, go ahead. I'm gonna pass it to you, Mel, for that.
Yeah, just the top 8 schedule. It was announced for BlizzCon. So we've got France and Canada playing. We have China and Finland playing. We have USA not playing South Korea and playing the UK. And then we have South Korea and Australia playing. So the winner of
Oh
USA and
man,
UK will play the winner of South Korea and Australia. Okay. And then the winner of France Canada will play the winner of China and Finland. So
I feel really bad for Australia here.
I know.
Yeah,
They got
this
Sorry,
absolutely
is
shelled from the
Australia.
get go.
this is
It's
a
like the USA
bummer.
last year.
Well, it's just kind
Yeah.
of a bummer because we're definitely not going to have a final that's USA versus South Korea, and
I
it
don't
just
know
would have
though. A
been
USA
nice.
France might be pretty good.
I think USA
I was
Canada
gonna
would be
say
better.
Okay, maybe.
I
I
would
think
be
as long as
happy
we get
with.
South Korea out, what if Australia beats South Korea?
Oh,
Oh, that'd
dude,
be great.
Uber
Nah.
would lose his
I
his
doubt it though.
mind. Lose.
Keep in mind.
Yeah, I caught
Australia,
myself though there.
that's a nice thought, but Australia was definitely not playing at the
I know.
level South Korea was playing. Australia did good qualifying, but they're lacking a little bit of that mystery juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's probably not going to happen. But USA could beat South Korea and then face,
Oh yeah, I could see that.
I think,
You,
Finland, France, or Canada. I think they've all got a chance.
I
Yeah,
think we could. This finals could be anyone's game. South Korea might make it over again. They might take it all. But if there's a year where all the other teams are closer to South Korea than they ever been, is this year. USA versus United Kingdom is gonna be a really cool matchup too. I'm looking forward to France versus Canada. That's gonna be a really nice match too.
For sure. Okay, that was all. You can close it out now.
All right. Thank you, Mel. Yeah, you can find the show over at owlrecap.libsyn.com. You can also go to Twitter and tweet at us at owlrecap. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/owlrecap. And you can join our Discord at discord.me/omniclab. If you want to email the show, you can do so over at contact@owlrecap.com. And you can always leave us an iTunes review. It makes us very, very happy and it helps us with the visibility of the show. If
It
you
does
want to
make me
personally,
smile.
yeah, it makes us smile quite a bit. I love reading reviews. All right, guys, if they want to personally find you, where can they do so?
You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
And you can find me on Twitter at iPlayGames. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys. All right, we are still live in chat. You want to raid? We don't have a very big crowd today, but you want to raid somebody?
Rate it.
All right, we're going to raid the Overwatch League network.
What episode is it?
50, I believe.
Yeah.
49?
Either 49 or 58.
It's 52.
Well, you know.
Or that.
50 episodes, though. It's crazy.
52 episodes, Bob.
I know. I was just thinking about the big
Round down.
number. We're going to be up to 100 soon.
The
In
big
50 weeks.
hundo.
Is
I
this,
feel like that's not soon.
I don't have
50
a
weeks is a
countdown.
long time.
I don't have a countdown for the raid. Do you guys
I
see
don't
a
either.
countdown?
Oh, Al Recap is rating now and show?
Yeah, but it doesn't have a countdown. It's like not.
I think I already did it.
No.
We're still
We're
live.
still on.
48 weeks. Did it not work? Weird.
No raid.
Hmm.
Maybe not. 151515. That's what
This
it's
is
doing.
weird. This is really weird.
Can I leave? No.
Hold on. Maybe I'd have to do it.
Restart it. Try again.
Bug
Raid
out.
fail, guys. Raid fail.
Oh,
There it is.
There
are you
go.
hosting them?
No, I was just trying to raid.
It says now hosting now in show.
Now it's going. It just wouldn't let me do it through Streamlabs chat. But now that I open it up in the regular, now it's let me do it. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, there went. All right.
No, it still is